Hey, hey,
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
Doing okay?
Thanks for joining me on this. Thanks for doing it this afternoon. I know it was kind of short notice.
I appreciate it.
Let's just kind of jump right in. Tell me a little bit about your meeting the other day with Jose Garza.
Oh, we had the meeting at 2 o'clock in the afternoon at his office. We had the prosecutor's team, Joshua Summers there, and it was his team. And then we had the defense attorney and then a few of his people that closely work with him. And during the meeting, I was allowed to ask any questions that I wanted about the case. And that's kind of how I started the case. Is I started the case by asking the district attorney to sit next to me, so I could show him pictures of my son. Because I asked him specifically, have you ever taken the time to learn who Joshua Hardesty was and what kind of kid he was? And he said, no, I've really never taken the time to do so. So I went over some of the pictures and kind of the history because me and my son were very close. Um, and I just felt it was important for him to learn who Josh was because he's making these very big decisions to drop and plea a capital murder case in my son's murder case down and offering a 30-year deal with a 15-year parole. And it's just kind of hard for me to swallow. It's a big pill to swallow when I was promised from the get-go that this Isaac Thomas that killed two people within 58 days of each other would be in jail for the rest of his life. And to get a phone call to be notified that there's nothing that they can do more, the prosecution team, that the new DA has come in, he's given the order that he wants these two cases, one capital murder charge to come down to a simple murder, and then along with my son, and offer 30 years on both with 15-year parole. I asked the district attorney if he knew the specifics about the crime, so how many times my son was shot, where he was shot. He didn't know these facts, but these facts are important because this was a horrific murder that my son went through, and he had no knowledge or expectation of what he was even getting himself involved to when Isaac Thomas showed up that day. So we went through all the perimeters and the questions that I had about the case and talked to him in detail about it. But he still feels that young offenders deserve a second chance, even if they're violent criminals or murderers. If they're 25 years old or less, he doesn't really believe that they should see more than 10 to 20 years in the maximum capacity to serve in jail, that they all have value within our community still, and they can reform and come back and be good citizens. I mean, this is where we disagree. Everything that I guess I've learned from Mr. Garza is I've done a lot of research, and I see that he was, a public defender in the past. But his actions with his new guidelines for the prosecution for the district attorney's office are extremely lenient for violent criminals. It outlines the charges that any prosecutor within his division can bring, such as aggravated assault. If the person suffered severe and lifelong injuries or needs long-term medical care, he still recommends 3.5 to 5 year prison sentences. In murder cases like my son, again, I doubt any person under the age of 30 will ever see a capital murder charge brought against them unless they're a police officer or somebody of power or wealth in Austin, because that's another thing that he's made clear in his campaign promise is that he is going to go after these people that have been able to evidently, I don't know, maybe get away with crimes or do things that he feels need to be punished. So he's loading up with his team to prosecute police, to go everything the fullest. They're doing everything on the fullest. There was an interview that he did the other day where he said, the triple murder that we had the other day is a capital murder charge. We had him indicted for capital murder, and we will go after the highest charge in this case. And he will. It's an ex-police officer. My son and the Hutchins son died. The second murder That's a capital murder case. That's the highest charge, but he pleaded down immediately. And the defense for Isaac Thomas has asked for an extension as of Friday, stating that they needed a little bit more time to do it. I asked if the plea case could be withdrawn. He said, no, that's not how it works. We're going to allow them to see if they have an offer back. And when I heard that, I asked, so if you're telling me that y'all just might drop my son's murder case and then just take the simple murder case on Isaac Thomas, and then you give him 20 years with a 10-year parole, you would consider that? Yes, from the start of C. Anything's on the table at this point. The public defender, our top dog in the district attorney's office, is acting more like a defense attorney than he is an attorney to protect the public of Travis County.
When you walked into that meeting this week, what were you think? What was going through your mind? What were you thinking going into the meeting?
My one thing is I wanted to meet the man. I wanted to see him face to face. I want to look him eye to eye. I'm able to remove myself far enough. I've been around in this world long enough. I've run businesses. And when I know that you have to take plea deals in murder cases sometime, I get it. But in those murder cases that I know and that I've seen and I've heard about, these are cases that they do not have the evidence. They do not have cooperating, they don't have witnesses to back up what they're saying, that are cooperating witnesses. So my thought is, in this case, let's lay out the facts again and make sure everybody is on point with what is truly involving in these two murders. You've got Isaac Thomas as a youth before he was 20, with numerous arrests in the different counties surrounding Travis County for possession of an unlawful firearm. Back in 2015, he shot up his ex-girlfriend's house with 12 rounds, and he nearly struck a child inside the house. He evaded arrest while out on probation on that charge. They rearrest him, give him a felony probation, and within 12 months, he went on a killing spree, killing my son and the other boy just 58 days later. So I want to know how you can look at a violent offender that has a history like this and say he does not deserve life imprisonment and the chance to be. I want it to go to trial. I want to see the capital murder case back. Joshua Summers, the prosecuting attorney, and his team say they still are ready to go to trial and they feel very strong for their case. And that's not when you make a plea deal. You don't make a plea deal when you have everything that you want in a murder case.
Walking out of the meeting, I think I can see where this is going, but walking out of the meeting, how did you feel? What did you think? Did you have any further conversations with the attorneys that are handling your and your son's case?
Well, that's a very interesting point, because Joshua Summers and his team were walking me out and going to walk me out to the lobby. We get out to the elevator lobby, waiting for the elevator, and we're talking. And Josh congratulated me and said that he was very pleased that I did come and meet with the DA, and that he thought that I did a good presentation for my case and my son. And at that moment, the district attorney stepped out and called the team back in, away from me. And then I was only escorted by a liaison lady there, and not allowed to talk to Josh anymore. So yeah, I couldn't finish what I wanted to do and find out a little bit more information.
How do you feel the meeting went? Do you feel that you were heard?
I definitely was not heard. Mr. Garza has his progressive views. He is very solid on that. He's very public on it. It's all on his website and the district attorney's homepage and their site itself about what they're wanting to do and what their plans are. And it's very clear that they're moving forward with that, because again, I don't know if you're familiar with the guidelines that he just released talking about how to prosecute all cases. And the one that captures a lot to me is that youth under 25 years of age and are not fully neurologically developed need to be sentenced to 10 years at max. And only in special occasions should it be a 20-year sentence, but it has to have his approval on it. Just recently, we learned that the two youths and the multiple shooting, sad and tragic shooting in Austin, Texas, they had charges because they pulled the guns first. They're waving the guns, then gunshots start to ring out. They were arrested, but Garza dropped the charges. He said it's in the best interest of the public to focus on the real shooter when they committed crimes. They unlawfully possessed and displayed firearms, which could have caused what happened.
Tell me, what do you think, what do you hope is going to happen over the next few weeks, few months, however long it takes to get this resolved?
I was told during the meeting that I would have 2 opportunities to talk to the courts to plead my case of why this plea deal would not go through. But I was told from the prosecuting attorney, Joshua Summers, that more than likely in all the cases that he's seen, if the defense and the prosecution are agreed on a plea deal, that it will go through. But I will have my chance. So what I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to reach out and make my voice verbal to everybody to hear what's going on within the Travis County District Attorney's Office, and hopefully get some support from them, because the district attorney has more compassion for the criminal, the violent criminal, than he does have for the family or the murder victims. So I'm not getting anything out of him. I'm hoping that I can reach enough people to hopefully make a difference in the courts.
Tell me a little bit about your son.
My son, Josh, all I can say is he's one of the best boys that I know. I'm his father, of course, but he's just a very caring boy, easygoing, laid back. Anybody that he met personally, they love him. He had a lot of friends. He was outgoing. It's just a very, very tragic event because he was a father, a very loving father. It's just, yeah, I don't know what to say. It's a hard thing to say because Isaac Thomas took a very, very good person away, and for a very, very for marijuana, why?
What have the conversations been like, if you don't mind me asking, the conversations been like with you and your family after your meeting with the DA?
If you'll repeat that.
What have the conversations been like for you and your family after you met with the DA? Is this something that you've talked about with anyone else?
Oh, absolutely. I've shared this with all my friends, and then I have support through the family, but everybody is in shock to learn what is going on with this case. So yes, I am letting it be known loud and clear to all my friends and family, the events that have occurred that were told to me a long time ago after the arrest, that Isaac Thomas would never step foot out of prison again. They have the case, they have the witnesses, they have the evidence. It is a capital murder. They were two brutal murders, 2 murders 58 days apart. So yes, I have a lot of support, and a lot of people are in shock, and they're rooting me on to try to get justice for Josh.
I know you just met with him, but what's your message to District Attorney Jose Garza?
Mr. Garza, any criminal that commits a crime, a violent act of crime, no matter if they're wealthy, a powerful person, a police officer, a doctor, a dentist, anybody, the crime is the crime. Doesn't matter what the age, they've committed the crime. And the only way that you stop crime like this is by being firm. You cannot hand down lenient sentences and give them the opportunity again to hurt after they get out of jail, because we've seen way too many times in the news where people are released. While they're released, they also kill again. This isn't a few times, it happens every day. You hear it on the news. Please bring justice for Josh.
Is there anything else you wanted to add? Anything that I missed? I know I'm just picking this up from, our coverage a couple of years ago, but is there anything else that you wanted to add? Anything that I missed that you wanted to talk about?
At this point, no. I think we've covered all the topics.